Hello and welcome to Boardwars.eu, your bi-weekly podcast about Star Wars Imperial Assault, a miniature game by Fantasy Flight Games. I'm Stefan and with me today again is Herwig.
Hi there, guys.
And I know I said bi-weekly, but actually it's 3 weeks since our last episode. Herwig, do you want to tell us why we postponed this episode?
Yeah, well, in the meantime was the big Star Wars convention, the Star Wars celebration in Anaheim, Florida. And we waited to see if some new news would come up. And of course, we all wanted to see the new trailer for Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah, of course. And we will talk about the news and the trailer and random stuff about Star Wars Celebration later in the episode. Again, this week we have our usual topics like news and cleanup, where we briefly talk about the news posted on the Fantasy Flight page, because there were some news. I think we had 2 articles. Actually 3, I think, but one of them is in the lore section. Then we have our campaign and skirmish play experiences, which will be quite short this week because I just played 1 game and we didn't get a skirmish game going, so it will be short. But then we get to the big ticket item, like the lore stuff, and we have general lore, and then we talk mainly about Star Wars Celebrations, about the new movie trailer, other Star Wars news, and news specifically for Fantasy Flight. And then we have our card discussion, community stuff, rules clarification, and the lore question of the week. And for the lore question from last week, we had quite some contestants. Like we had, I think we had 11 guys sending in the right, or not even the right answer. We'll come to that later. So the first thing we want to talk about this week is news and cleanup. First, I wanted to thank all of you sending in emails and encouraging us with the podcast. Not only did I get some answers to the last raffle question, I also got some general encouragement via email, and also we got quite some people going on the Facebook community page. So if you want to come in direct contact with us, you can do so on the Facebook page. I will, of course, link it in the show notes like always. And what I noticed last week or the week before, I don't remember anymore, the second episode actually had the wrong metadata, and it was displaying episode 1 in the metadata. So if you're listening to episode 2 and wondering why it's displaying episode 1, was an error on my side, on the editing side. So that's all fine now. I think for the last episode and for this episode, it should be fine. And then we have 2 new articles on FFG. These are actually part of a free article series on the FFG site about the skirmish game and how the skirmish game works and general tactics for the skirmish game. And 2 articles since the last episode were Achieve Ultimate Power and the Power of Activations. And Achieve Ultimate Power is about, I think it had something to do with the Royal Guards, but yeah, it's about about activations, not really the activations, but how many each activation costs. So how much does it do the deployment card costs, and how to balance this with how many victory points you need, and which units from your opponent to prioritize to kill, so you get victory points. And so it's a general article about how to play around with deployment costs and victory points. And the second article is the Power of Activations. Generally, it talks about how many activations you should have in your squad, and what to look for when building an army, how many deployment cards you should factor in, and how many deployment points each card should have. And it's a bit more about activations. And the consensus right now is, I think you should have about 5 to 7 activations in your squad. If you have lower than that, you usually get rushed by the opponent, because the opponent can delay his stronger deployment cards until late in the round when you can't move away again. So if you have fewer than 5 activations, you're usually doing something wrong. And if you have more than 7, you're usually using deployment cards that are too squishy and dying too easily.
It's an interesting part of the skirmish game that there's this little meta game of, okay, how many activations do I need? Where's the sweet spot? So it was interesting article focusing on this part of the game.
So there will be a third article about the skirmish game. I don't know when it will hit. I think it will actually hit within the next few days. So we'll mention it next time in probably 2 weeks or so. If you're interested in playing skirmish games, you should really read them to get a feel for how to structure your play better. At least if you are starting out. If you're a veteran of tabletop or even miniature gaming, most of this stuff should be familiar to you.
Yeah, it's a little bit similar to X-Wing, where it's also finding the balance between ships, how many ships you have in your group, and how many your opponent plays, who has more activations or not in their fleet.
Yeah, I think in X-Wing it's a little bit easier because the order in which you take your turn, it's actually fixed
by the pilot skill.
By the pilot skill. So it's not as dynamic as Imperial Assault in this regard, where you can delay let's say you have Vader, and you can delay Vader till the end of a round when no one can move away. You can stand right next to an enemy figure, hack away, and then use force grip or a force choke, and it's working, and you don't have to anticipate any movement again by your opponent.
But I have to say, I thought that also I read the article, and I also thought this metagame is also relevant in the campaign. You know, if I as Imperial player have a lot of,
I wanted to mention this in the next section, because okay. I had something about my play that's relevant to this. But yes, it's all of course it's also relevant for the campaign. So I think that's the general news for this week, and it's not that much, and but it's considering how much we will talk about other stuff, it's enough. So this is it for news and cleanup, and we'll swiftly move away to campaign and skirmish play experiences. Herwig, did you play any games this past 3 weeks, actually?
We continued our campaign and played the first side mission, and I think, side mission, and continued our campaign,
So you are two missions down?
Yeah.
Okay, which side mission did you play?
We played the side mission for one of the rebel heroes.
Yeah, I think I saw it. It's Brushfire for Fen Cygnus, right? Yes.
Yeah, and it was a close one. I think it was interesting playing this mission early in the campaign this time, and I would like to play it maybe in a later stage of the campaign, because I think they will play and feel differently.
Because I know that's like this with most missions, with most side missions that aren't locked to a threat per round level.
Exactly, yeah, because but I think it's well balanced, because there are two parts when I could do additional development with threat points, and I don't want to get too spoilery into the side mission, so I don't want to spoil any of the events that happen, but there are some nice options, so you can adapt. You can choose between 2 or 3 outcomes, and so you can adapt to the way the
rebels play.
Yeah, exactly. And it is interesting that at this stage of the game, it was a mission where I had a ATST, and of course for the rebels, it was they were very afraid of this big chunk of metal and tried to run around it, and it was interesting to scare them with it.
Yeah, for the lower threat stages in the campaign, usually when you have side missions which features a large enemies or tough enemies like Vader or the ATST, it's funny to see how the players react to this, because usually it's much harder to get past this enemy in the earlier stages of the campaign. And in the later stages of the campaign, this central figure of the mission is usually toned down a bit because the rebels actually can handle it. So that's quite nice. And we also played our campaign game, and we finished up what's it called, Imperial Hospitality, where the rebels need to rescue a a prisoner before actually they have to disable Terminus. I told about this last week or last episode.
Yeah, we stopped you stopped in the mission, right?
Yeah, we stopped right at turn 4, and it took us, I think, only 3 more turns to us, the Imperial players, 3 more turns to wound all the rebel players, because one of the rebel players was already withdrawn. We made Chin withdraw, and then they all were like stuck in this command console room where the terminal was, and we applied heavy pressure, not the card, but actual heavy pressure, and it was hard for them to get out. And the main thing what went right for us was Fen Cygnus was directly in the room and couldn't get out to apply his blast damage. He was upgrading his what's it called? Yeah, he was buying Rebel Elite, which is a class card for Fen Cygnus, which allows him to apply Blast 2 instead of Blast 1 to his Havoc shot. But since he couldn't actually blast for like 2 turns or so, because we positioned our guys so that blast would also hit the other rebels, and they couldn't really get out there. It was like two rounds we won without them applying much of their damage. So it was very successful for us, and in the end we won the mission quite handily. Even though we misread some of the rules in the beginning and thought we the Imperials are a bit screwed because we couldn't proceed with our original plan. But we won, and so I think we are 4-1 now. We are in the 5th mission of the campaign, and 4 missions were won by us, by the Imperials, and 1 mission was won by the Rebels. It was general donation, so they still have quite a bit of money left over, because they got I think they got 2,400 credits for 1 mission, which is crazy. But they spent some of it. They still have some of it left over. But what I want to talk about is between the missions, we purchased an agenda card, which gives you 1 additional deployment card each mission, which is always a regular Imperial officer. So you purchase it for 1 influence, and for all next missions you get 1 Imperial officer as a bonus. And this is actually very good, because it's just 2 threat, so you can put it on the board even during the early campaign missions, and in the late campaign missions it's basically a free activation. You can use either to delay one of your heavier or stronger activations, or you can use this Imperial officer to move figures around the board, which is also quite nice just for 2 threat. And so this is an agenda card I underestimated at first, because you just get 1 additional deployment card, but since it's so cheap and it's so versatile, I think it's one of the best agenda cards you can buy in the early campaign. So if you can buy it, you should buy it. It's a really good agenda card. And this is also tying into the power of activations article on FFG. It really gives you an edge during the campaign if you have more deployments groups on the board than there are rebels on the board. So we noticed this quite heavily during Imperial Hospitality, where they were down 1 activation because they lost Chin halfway through the mission, and we were fielding 4 to 6 Imperial deployment cards, which meant we could use 2 or 3 deployments or activations after the heroes spent all their activations, which is crazy because we could do whatever we want and focus heroes however we want. It was very good. So buy this agenda card. It's good. Did you actually buy something during your campaign yet, or do you have not enough
I've not
influence now?
yet enough influence. I hope that I will win next mission. I have four agenda cards on my hand, and two would be very, very interesting to buy for me. But I can't really talk about it because some of my rebels are listening to this podcast.
Okay,
so
okay, okay. That's
I
okay.
can't spoil the
So,
surprise for them.
yeah, it
But
will be a surprise.
I have four on the deck, but yeah, it would be. One is really strong, and it would be interesting to play it. So
Yeah. Do you also play subversive
yeah,
tactics, right?
I
Right.
bought
Okay.
one additional XP card after the first mission. So
Which one? Surgical strike
surgical
or savage
strike,
weaponry?
surgical strike.
Okay, so
It's
that's yeah.
it's really handy, and sadly in one of the last turns I forgot to use it in one of my last activations. So I would have managed to wound the third rebel hero. So only fingers would have been unwounded for me. Yeah, and I would have hunted him down with my at ST.
ATST. Did you win the mission or did you
No,
lose?
but it was really close, and it was actually I thought it was really fun because the events during the mission shifted a little bit the dynamic, so it didn't feel like that at some point in the mission I already lost or something. So because thanks to the structure of the missions in Imperial Assault, when events happen, you can choose what could make the mission give it back some tension again, which was very interesting. And the good thing for me is they managed to, well, in the last round to disarm the last bomb, but they couldn't pick up any of the crates, so they don't really have that
Yes,
much.
they lost a bit of money.
Yeah, they lost, and they didn't pick up a lot of money in the first mission, so that's
That's also good.
that's
Yeah.
good for me because they didn't have a lot of money yet for buying new equipment and new stuff. So I think that's
Do you have 4 players or 3 players
four now. We played with four, and a fourth player chose the Jedi, and yeah, we just added her for this mission, so it's no problem.
Do you award them additional credits? Because if you play with 4 players, you usually get like the monetary rewards are always dished out
Yeah,
per player. So did you give them the like 200 credits they were missing from the Jedi from the first mission, or do you just skip that?
I gave them the XP. I didn't thought about the money, so probably I will give them the extra money because
Depending on if they won or if they lost aftermath, it's either 1 or 200 credits. So it shouldn't make that much of a difference in the beginning, but usually after the next upgrade stage, you should have some money to buy something.
yeah, after the next mission we already have the mixed tier 1 and tier 2 weapon stack. So let's see.
Yeah, they're even more expensive
Yeah,
now.
exactly. I don't know. I will try the metagame of telling them that it will be more expensive stuff to buy, and let's see if they then.
But they're also more useful.
Yeah,
So.
let's see if they get too greedy in the next mission to get all the grades for extra money and then forget the mission in hunt for all the glory of gold.
That's kind of what happened with my group, because like I said, we won 4 of the 5 missions until now, and usually it's it's not about them not completing the objectives, but actually losing time with the crates, because they usually pick up most of the crates, and they have quite a sum of money, and they have bought some upgrades, but since they skipped on winning the actual missions, they lost some experience points. And I think experience points, in my opinion, they are actually worth more for rebels, and they are worth less for not even less, but they are worth like equal to influence points. But credits they are mostly easy to come by, and campaign is long, and you also can sell back unused equipment and for half what you bought them for. And so if you have a stash of money in the beginning of the campaign, like my guys had, they are they try to spend it to better their chances in the future missions. But since they only can access tier 1 and tier 2 right now, or right now they can only access tier 2, they bought some stuff they will not find that useful later in the campaign, and they will sell back, so they actually have a net loss on that. So experience points would have been better than picking up crates for them, but that's something you learn over the games as a group and as a player. So it might actually work out for them, because they are armed to the teeth right now. So this was our play experiences during the week. We actually wanted to play a skirmish game, but it didn't happen because we were both busy and
watching the new Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, watching the new Star Wars trailer, mostly watching the new Star Wars trailer, and watching the new Rebels trailer, and
it was
other
viewed,
stuff.
I think, 18 million times in the first 24 hours.
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Probably 1 million was probably me. So I'll be honest.
Well, I only watched like 20 times. So this is it for campaign and skirmish play experiences for this week. Maybe we will have something more to talk about next time, when I actually have to have more time to get into the IA Command Vessel League and play maybe 1 or 2 games there. So our next topic is lore. And lore this week is our heavy ticket item. We'll start with general lore, which is not connected to Star Wars Celebration or just loosely connected to Star Wars Celebration. Some of our listeners brought up that what's it called? Heir to the Empire? No, of course not Heir to the Empire. Heir to the Jedi. Yeah. The book I mentioned last time, and Aftermath, the other book I mentioned last time, are not the only adult novel books that are being released this year. So actually, in a few days, like next week? Yeah, next week, in 5 days from the recording, Lords of the Sith will be released, which is a novel about Darth Vader, and it is set, I think, between episode 4 and episode 5, also like Heir to the Jedi. And after that, we will have, in July, at the beginning of July is another book release, which is called Dark Disciple. This is set, let's see where it's set, I think during the Clone Wars, which is not that interesting to me. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you can also check that book out. So the first one is Lords of the Sith, releasing next week. And the second one is Dark Disciple, releasing at the beginning of July. And the third one this year will be Aftermath, releasing in September. I think beginning of September. So this is news or info directly from our listeners. And thank you, Matt, for bringing this up. Let's start with the actual meat of the episode today. Star Wars Celebration in Florida was last weekend, which is 4 days ago, or 5 days ago, however you want to count it. And they released on Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
No, they released the first day. Yeah. They released the trailer for the second teaser trailer or teaser or trailer, or whatever you want to call it, for Star Wars. Episode 7, what's it called? The Force Awakens. Yeah, The Force Awakens. So, if you haven't watched the trailer and don't want to be spoiled, you should turn off the podcast and watch the trailer now. And you should feel bad, because if you're a Star Wars fan and listening to the podcast, you should have watched the trailer by now. So
100 times.
At least 100 times. So, the trailer opens up with a shot of a speeder in the background, and in the foreground and background you see a large desert, and in the background you see a speeder skimming through the wasteland, and in the foreground you have a crashed X-wing, and then in the background you have a crashed Imperial Star Destroyer, which makes for awesome scenery. Many people thought that this is actually Tatooine, because the planet this is taking place on is also featured in some other scenes throughout the trailer, and also in the first teaser trailer with the flight of the Millennium Falcon. And during one of the panels at Star Wars Celebration, it was clarified that this is actually not Tatooine, but a new planet called Jakku, like Jakku,
Yeah, that's
spelled out.
that makes me very happy because in you always had the feeling with Star Wars and Star Wars games that everything takes place on 5 planets, and all the
Yeah,
games always had, of course, had to have a level on Tatooine and so on. So I'm really happy that we see like new desert worlds.
yeah. Actually, that's what I liked about expanded universe. That it doesn't that doesn't take place on the usual planets you know from the movies, but also touches on planets that were mentioned in the movies but never made it into the movies
Yeah,
themselves. So like Coruscant or something. So I was very happy reading books about Coruscant and Kessel and other places you heard about during the movies, but never actually see them. So
just one side note:
something.
in the role playing game, there are now two source books. Well, one is about the Corellia system. It's called Sons of Fortune, and it's only about like the culture of the Corellian sector, the shipyards, and the planets of the Corellian sector, and some of the races of the Corellian sector. And the second one is, which is really cool. It's called Lords of Nalhutta, and it's about Hutt space and the planets in the Hutt systems and the Hutt society, and it's really interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
that's what I liked about
Bo-
the
yeah,
expanded
both
universe
books
stuff.
are really good, and uh, I think the Nalhata book is even more exciting because you really see as the very seedy and underground worldy side of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, that's actually you hear about hot space all the time in the Star Wars
Yeah,
movies, and you never actually get told about
and
what it actually
and
is, how big it is,
and the best
and what's going on there.
thing is in the Hutt book there's actually a full body armor for a Hutt. So if you can play a Hutt character wearing
It's like a combat
yeah
snail.
wearing a full combat armor, it looks like a Hutt inside a knight's armor. It's hilarious.
That's actually hilarious. Yeah.
Let's see if this
Okay.
characters makes it to Imperial Assault, but
Yeah, it's like a boss enemy.
giant
It's like a
armored
large
snail.
figure. There's plus 2 blocks in it. Yeah. So of course, so the desert planet is called Jakku, and we also notice from the Battlefront trailer or the Battlefront panel on Star Wars Celebration, because Jakku is one of the planets featured in the new Battlefront game,
Yeah, yeah, we
and
will see in Battlefront. You now can play the now I have to say battle again. You can now play the battle in Battlefront, which led to all these ruined ships and carcass on the desert planet. So which is interesting to play. Like,
I actually read a theory that the large battle of Jakku, which is referenced in Battlefront, is maybe may even be the reason for Jakku being a desert
oh,
wasteland.
that would be really
That might
interesting.
be
Yeah,
interesting, because that would give additional motivation for the people there to fight either of the groups, depending on
yeah.
where they ended up. So that would be
There's
interesting.
a interesting article from I think a physicist or so about the explosion of the second Death Star above Endor.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, yeah, the
debris
way
and
he wrote
what
on
it
that
caused to the planet and so.
Endor, in no possible way, Endor would have survived the explosion of the second Death Star, or um, yeah,
But what about the
yeah,
Ewoks? The poor
poor
Ewoks.
Ewoks. And very interesting, he wrote about it that probably this was a little bit of stuff we don't really know, but he talked about, yeah, well, the Death Star maybe is powered by atomic reactors, and all the atomic debris could turn Endor into a radioactive wasteland and so on. It was very funny, very interesting article. Yeah.
But that's not funny.
Actually, it's
Think
sad.
about the poor Ewoks.
The planet
The
of
poor sad
the
Ewoks.
teddy bears is now a radioactive wasteland. So yeah, it's not.
Oh, that's sad. Okay, so the next thing I wrote down about the trailer is you see again the new droid the
Yeah.
main characters have with them, which is like a soccer ball and a little dome on a soccer ball. And I don't know if his name was revealed before that or after after the
I
trailer
don't really know.
during one of the panels. Either way, his name is BB-8, and it's not even a fully CGI character. It's a prop, an actual robot that they showed on the stage during a panel, and it can roll around and turn its head. It's really funny, and they also rolled on the stage an R2-D2 replica, or even the original R2-D2. Doesn't really matter. So for size comparison and to see how mobile the new droid actually is compared to R2-D2.
This made me really happy because J.J. Abrams put a lot of focus on doing a lot in real setups.
They used real props. They used real props
masks,
and real explosions
no
and
stupid
real models.
CGI monsters, but he used the guys from the Jim Henson workshop again. So you saw in one of the first teasing pictures, they used a lot of masks again and not CGI crap, which sadly looks dated in the minute it is done.
That's
my biggest problem with the prequel trilogy. That
it looks
the
like
CGI stuff
a bit sterile.
Yeah, exactly. And during the panel, he said he sees Star Wars always as a mixture between Wild West and a fairy tale, and it always has a used look to it. And
this was lost during the prequels, I think. It also what turned me away from the Clone Wars animated series, because it took this clean style and hyped it up to like 11, and it also, I think it's the new animated series Star Wars Rebels. It still suffers from this, because every time I see it, I get reminded of the CGI effects from the prequels and how awkward they looked, and it's but the new movies, they will have heavy usage of miniatures, of masks, of real props, of real droids, like real built droids. That's not to say that they don't use CGI, but they just use CGI where it's needed, and not just everywhere, like George Lucas, who filmed like basically in a blue studio and put everything in CGI later.
Just sitting lazy there, filming it, and
there's a I think there are two GIFs I can link to. Yes, where you can see BB-8 rolling on the stage, and I linked that in the show notes too. And some of the users on Reddit actually made a wallpaper shot, or a giant wallpaper from the opening shot, the panoramic shot on the desert wasteland with the speeder.
Perfect.
And I will also link that in the show notes, because it's like he stitched together the whole shot, because the camera is panning from left to right, and he stitched together all the shots, so it's like ultra widescreen, and it's a beautiful shot to look at, and even looking at on your desktop. And I think someone other on Reddit made an actual wallpaper, like 16:9 or 16:10 from it, or like a cropped version from it. So it's all there on Reddit. I'll link the Reddit thread, so the listeners can also make the desktop reflect their desires. So the next thing discussing about the trailer is we have the new Stormtrooper design that was not only leaked during the trailer, but they also had on Star Wars Celebrations, they had like the new Stormtrooper armor displayed for, I think, 3 different troop types. And on the bottom they had a plaque detailing what this troop is for, and it also said on the plaque that this is a member of the New Order. So the official name of the successor to the Empire is the New Order. What's it actually for, and how it is run, and what its aim is, we don't know yet. But that's the name we know for now.
Also, the symbol is new. If you look at the trailer, you see a...
I know it's
on the red flag.
It's similar to the old Imperial symbol.
Exactly, a little bit more aggressive.
It's a little bit more aggressive. It's like
it has
more flower petals.
It has more teeth now.
So the question of how did the First Order succeed the Empire? It's still not clear. I think we will the book Aftermath, which will release in September, which plays actually after
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, will shed some light on how this all
I
evolves. And
think
so.
some of the Marvel comic books that are coming out in September and October will also tackle that subject.
Yeah, that might also be. I have to look into them. I still haven't got around to actually looking when they are coming out or how
The
many and how to get them.
the trades of the now running series are coming all in September, so you can get the trade. Also, the trades are always the collected single issue comic books. So the trades for the Star Wars Marvel first run, which plays I think after New Hope, comes out in September. Then the Princess Leia miniseries concludes, so you can get it as a trade in September or October, I think. And the miniseries for Kanan, how is he called? The guy from Rebels. There's a miniseries
Yeah, Kanan.
showing his time as a
Kanan. I think
Padawan,
Kanan.
which will conclude
Oh, okay.
also will be available in September as a trade. And normally I like to buy my comics in the collected trades, and I stopped buying single issues a couple of years ago because it's
It's messing up the bookshelf.
yeah, exactly, and it's sometimes can be a hassle to get all the single issues. Sometimes you miss one, and takes forever to get a missing one. And
Do you buy the English issues in Austria somewhere?
I could
do you
before,
order
but
them?
I order them now. Because my comic shop stopped selling English comics, and most of the stuff,
What a shame.
most of the stuff I like to read, I like to read in the English original, and yeah.
So we will have to wait and see how the first order is actually how it arose from the empire, from the crumbling empire after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I
And
think, and sorry, I think the rebels are called the Resistance now. I think they're not called the
oh,
New
I didn't
yeah,
actually
they're
hear
not called the
that.
New
So
Republic or something like that. It's called the Resistance or Resistance. So
yeah, it'll be interesting because like we have to forget the names
yeah,
we used to
Empire
know from
Remnant
the
and so
extended
on. Yeah,
universe where it was the New Republic against the remnants of the Empire, and because the political background for the rebels or the resistance will be different now in the new movies because they will I think they will focus on a more large scale war now compared to the extended universe stuff where you had the remnants from of the Empire launching like more or less smaller attacks because they are in the minority now, but we will see. So the other thing some people noticed about the trailer was the closing shot is you see the Falcon again darting through the atmosphere on Jakku, and it's entering some sort of structure in trying
escape the TIE fighter.
to escape a TIE fighter, and it was if you look closely in the wide shot where you see the Falcon entering the structure, you can see that this is actually a wreck of a super. No, it's a Superstar Destroyer, right? It's called Superstar Destroyer, or is it? Yeah, the Executor class, of course. Yeah, the biggest one they had in the Empire, and it's turned upside down, and the Falcon is actually entering the back exhaust ports of the Executor Star Destroyer, and trying to lose the TIE fighter somewhere in there. So it's really Jakku seemed to be hit very heavy by this battle because they actually had a destroyed Superstar Destroyer there. So you probably had a large space battle and even a ground battle there. And I will also link in the show notes a picture of where someone made a picture comparison between the old Star Destroyer, the Superstar Destroyer, and the shot from the trailer where you can see a comparison between the two and see that they look actually very similar.
Somebody already looked up there are Star Wars cutaway books where you can see like the whole blueprints and floor plans for all the ships, and the maneuver is possible. So The
Yeah, yeah. The funny thing is actually that the scale of the thing is quite impressive,
it's
because the Falcon, it's not a small machine, and it's entering the exhaust port, and it's fitting quite nicely in there, and it's just one exhaust port out of 12 or 14 or 16 of the whole thing, and the exhaust port section is just a smaller subsection of the whole Superstar Destroyer. So it's quite impressive how big this thing actually is. Then we had, in conjunction with the trailer, the people from the movie also released a new photo of the Rebel cast, which features the three main protagonists for the Rebels, which is the defected stormtrooper on the right, the X-wing pilot on the left, and some refugee girl. Do we actually know what she's doing in the movie, or
it
is she a smuggler?
She's a junker, so she's collecting stuff on
Oh, okay,
Jakku and selling it off. So she's going through the wreckage of the destroyed ships, collecting valuable parts and selling them off. So that's more or less her job. And I think the ending of the trailer points through that she finds maybe the Millennium Falcon, or that the Millennium Falcon got lost during this battle, and she finds it again and maybe salvages it and starts it again. Because in the ending, I think Solo and Chewie are returning to the Falcon to find it again. I think that's what's meant by.
That might make sense. Yes, that might make sense why the Falcon is actually there. Yeah. Maybe what's it called? The guy Han played Sabak with on Bespin.
Lando Calrissian.
Lando,
Yeah.
of course, Lando. I forgot his name now. So maybe Lando flew the Falcon during the Battle of Jakku. Somehow lost the machine, and or even was killed or something. And that's how Han actually lost sight of the Falcon, because he really says that they are in the ending shot of the trailer. He really says that they are home, which signifies, I think, that they are into the action again with the Falcon. So we have our three main protagonists, and I took a look at the IMDb page of the movie, and these are the three main protagonists are lining up quite nicely with the three new actors that are participating in the movie. Just that there are not only three new actors in the movie, but four, and one of them is missing, and this is Adam Driver. And I had a feeling that the main villain, what's it, Kylo Ren, I think is the name of the Sith guy. And the one with the lightsaber with the hilt, and I really think since we never saw Adam Driver's face anywhere in the two trailers or two teasers, that he will play the Sith guy, because the Sith guy also always wears a mask, so you could really hide him
Also,
away back there.
the stormtrooper in the chrome armor is I forgot her name, the actress from Game of Thrones, Brie of Tarth. Yeah, it's
Really? I didn't even
there's
know that.
It's
Oh,
a
it's
chrome
her.
stormtrooper with wearing a cape, so it's a lieutenant. I think
Yeah,
her
that
name
armor
is
looked
Captain
sick.
Phasma. She is the captain of the New Order stormtroopers, and it's played by Breen of Tarth. I forgot the actor's name.
Yeah, I know. The armor that she's wearing actually looks really
Yeah.
sick. It's really nice. So let's see. Oh, is it
Yeah,
Gwendolyn
exactly,
Christie?
Gwendolyn Christie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She was added to the movie to the cast recently, because last time I looked, I didn't
Yeah, it was
see her
rumored,
there.
and somebody said, yeah, she's in the movie, but nobody really confirmed it. But yeah, she's.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
new information. So I didn't even know that. So the only one the only one we don't know who's he playing right now is really Adam Driver, at least from the guys we know, because Daisy Ridley is Rey, the junker. Then you have Oscar Isaac is Poe Dameron, the X-wing pilot, and then you have, what's his name, Johnny Boyega which is Finn, the defected stormtrooper. Do we actually know that he is defected? Was it
no,
said somewhere?
they didn't say anything about what their roles really are. They only said a little bit about it, and in at the panel, I think he looked over to J.J. Abrams once to see how much he is allowed to say at this point. So,
Okay.
but I think he's a defect. It seems like in both scenes we've seen with him so far, it seems like
he's wearing a stormtrooper armor.
Probably maybe he was
the first
a spy,
and the second
but I think
trailer.
he's more like they try to keep it with like simple stories. I think he defected or ran away after a botched mission, maybe on Jakku, and he's now running away from the Empire. And there's the scene where Daisy the Junker, like you see in the trailer, where she gives him her hand and they're running away together. So from whatever is going to attack them.
And I think we saw a TIE fighter in the back of that scene, so maybe even they're found out or something. So we know the identities of these three new actors, but like I said on the IMDb page, we still have Adam Driver, who is not associated with any character, and we also don't see any mention of Kylo Ren in the character list on IMDb. So it's not confirmed for now. But since do we know who's Andy Serkis playing?
No,
because we also don't know who's Andy Serkis playing.
It was only made clear that it was his voice in the first trailer.
Okay, yeah.
But it's the only thing we know at this point of, and I think
maybe he's only voicing the Sith guy, and Adam Driver is playing him, like we had in the old trilogy where. Adam Prowse
with 5 actors for Darth
the
Vader.
Prowse guy was playing Vader, and
we don't know that yet.
Someone on
but
was voicing him.
It was rumored somewhere that he's not in a mask and he's not playing a CGI thingy, so he's actually doing like in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He's actually playing a character. So
the first time ever, I think. So, then the obvious stuff in the trailer was that there's some narration directly lifted from Return of the Jedi, where we can hear Luke saying, "The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister have it, and you have it too." Which is actually I'm not sure if the last line. You have that power too is actually in Return of the Jedi. I looked it up, and the other lines are for sure lifted 1-to-1 from Return of the Jedi.
It's in the scene somewhere he implies that his sister is also strong with the Force, and it's the moment when Leia realizes she is his sister. So it's in this scene. Yeah,
that might be. Maybe I just misremembered. Yeah. So it's lifted directly from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, word by word. Yeah.
And it's overlaid over images of first you see the destroyed mask of Vader, and then you see someone kneeling or cowering alongside R2-D2 in a sort of wreckage, or at least near a wreckage.
Robot hand, so it could be Luke.
Having a robot hand, and all of the character is wrapped in this really large robe, so you don't see anything else than him or her cowering near R2-D2, and then he or she is reaching out to R2-D2 and touching him on his dome with a robot hand. But like many people said, that the hand, it doesn't actually look like the hand Luke has or had in the old trilogy. So
maybe he got the upgrade.
Yeah, it looks a bit rougher. I think it looks like more solid. But that's since we never actually saw the hand without the tissue over it in the old trilogy, for obvious reasons. We don't really know for sure if it's really Luke's hand or if it's someone new. So it could actually be Kylo Ren, who found R2-D2 for whatever reason, and it could also be him who dug up the mask of Vader for like origin purposes, like where do I come from, where do I go. That might also be, but we don't actually know for sure right now.
the only thing we know in this next scene, you see somebody giving a lightsaber to presumably Leia, and it's Luke's original Star's lightsaber. It's Anakin's lightsaber. He gets from
Yes, the
from
blue
Obi-Wan.
one.
So somebody maybe found it in Bespin in somewhere in the air shafts or the down on the planet somewhere.
Yeah, you had a similar story. You had a similar story in the expanded universe where they were using the cut off hand of Luke and his lightsaber to clone him and to basically manufacture a dark clone of him. It like was it? It's not Shadows of the Empire. There was a comic series about a cloned emperor and a cloned Luke. And
Along with
it was cloned from him
stormtroopers.
from the hand. Yes, maybe it was
The
even
real Clone Wars.
maybe it was even during the Thrawn trilogy. I'm not sure anymore. It's so long that I read these books, so maybe it was similar this way that they just found it on Bespin somewhere. Maybe it's actually a replica or something. We'll see during the movie. Then we also have Kylo Ren commanding some stormtroopers through a burning village or something. We don't know now what it really is. And then someone wrote that this is the favorite shot of the whole trailer, where you have a battalion of stormtroopers standing in formation before some sort of pedestal or podest, or someone is standing in the background addressing the stormtroopers, and then shortly after the shots actually starts, all stormtroopers turn around facing the camera, and you see some different stormtrooper armor models, and you also see two stormtrooper or imperial or now New Order, of course, armor models, and of course, and it's somewhere in the right in the background. You see something like someone who has not the flat chest armor piece, but like some armor piece with storage for magazines or replacement cells for his blaster, whatever you do want to use it for. And on the left, you see maybe the successor of the Navy pilots or the Navy guys from the Death Star with the large, bold helmets, the black ones, and black uniforms. We don't really see them that good, but they seem to be there, and they seem to stand next to a TIE fighter, so maybe they actually have to do something again with this, so we'll see. And then, of course, we see a shot of a battle going on within. It looks like a hangar, I think, where there are some TIE fighters and a battalion of stormtroopers, and one of the TIE fighters is actually firing at other TIE fighters and the stormtroopers. So it might actually be what's it called? I forgot his name. It might actually be Finn in this TIE fighter, who is shooting his way out of a tough situation or something.
And maybe him escaping from his former employment.
Yeah, that might be shooting his way out.
I quit.
And then we have...
And then shooting his way out.
And then we have the next shot is a new Star Destroyer, looking like... I think it looks similar to the old Executive class Star Destroyers, but a little bit different. And they also have a new type of shuttle, like not the Lambda shuttles.
It looks a little bit more combat-like, yeah.
Yeah, it also looks more Sith-like, I think. Like the Sith ship Darth Maul used in episode 1. A little bit similar to this, because it also has wings that fold away or fold down during the scene where they approach the Star Destroyer. So we will see what's up with that. And I think that's all the scenes from the trailer. And we only talked about half an hour about the trailer that's like 1.5 minutes long. So yeah, I think that's I also will link, of course, pictures to the new to the new Stormtrooper armor designs, and a time analysis for the trailer, the photo of the Rebel cast, and of course the First Order successor to the Empire. I will link all of this in the show notes. And is there something else you wanted to mention about the trailer?
I think we've talked about everything. Only thing,
Yeah, we talked about half an
yeah,
hour about the
about
1.5
yeah.
minute trailer. So
And the sad thing is, I really like on Sunday evening, I googled like for 20 minutes or tried to get information when the next trailer is going to be released, but
oh
I
wow.
couldn't find anything about it.
So we are finished up with the trailer, and the next stuff we want to tackle is other Star Wars news. So we had two big items on this list. And the first is after Episode 7, the year after Episode 7, which is next year in fall or late fall or winter. Like I think they even said Christmas 2016. We have another Star Wars movie which is called Rogue One, and this is a movie about they have a name for this, right? They are called
Anthologies movie.
Anthology. Yeah, so it's an anthology movie, which means that it's not a main series movie like in the
Not
Marvel.
a saga movie.
Yeah, it's like a saga. So it's
No, they called the episodes saga movies, which carry on the big story, and all these other movies will be called
they are like side
anthology.
projects.
Yeah, exactly. Movies that play in that universe, but don't do anything really game changing about the main story.
And the first movie we get next year at Christmas is Rogue One. It's a story about a special forces unit within the rebels, and it plays. It's set, I think, a few months or even a year before. What's it called? Before A New Hope.
Yeah.
So before Episode 4, and the special forces unit that's like the main focus of this movie is tasked with stealing the plans for the first Death Star. So I think they had a teaser trailer like 20 seconds long or so where we see a jungle planet, and out of a valley in the jungle planet the camera rises, then you see a TIE fighter overhead, and then you see on the horizon a big silhouette of the old Death Star, like taking up half of the sky, and then you just have the logo of Rogue One. And
yeah, it's narrated by a line from A New Hope, which is from Obi-Wan. So when he talks about the rise of the Empire, and then you see like the big Death Star, the first Death Star on the horizon.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then is the logo of Star Wars Rogue One with a lot of static comm chatter.
Yeah, right. They have some comm chatter in the background.
The comm chatter of the military unit trying to get the plans. And I think since today there are actually two more actors. They have announced two more actors, which I think there are now three actors on this movie and the director. Officially. Unofficially, there's probably already the whole cast list, but because we have Felicity Jones, and now we have Sam Claflin. He was in the Hunger Games, I don't know, and Riz Ahmed from Nightcrawler, which I haven't seen yet, which was supposed to be a good movie last year, but I haven't seen yet.
Okay. Yeah. So that's almost all the info we have currently on Rogue One. But there was it a leak or was it actually press material? Because there was a picture of it looked like a phone picture of a movie screen actually, where you see some rebels exiting some dropships.
Yeah, it was from the concept art for the movie.
Oh, okay. Because I saw both. I saw a picture and a concept art.
Yeah, that maybe they already show. It's the concept art for the movie, and they didn't start filming yet. They
didn't even start filming. I thought they started already.
Next month probably.
Oh,
yeah, maybe
okay.
they already filmed some stuff at the set of Star Wars. Who knows? But the filming really starts next month or so.
So that's all the info we have currently about Rogue One, the movie that's hitting next Christmas, which is sadly more than 1.5 years away.
But it's going
And
to
it
be
looks
an
like,
interesting movie. They said that they want to have the focus that it's really a gritty
yeah, I think they
commando
said
movie.
the Force isn't going to play a large role in this one.
No, it will be just yeah,
It's like a military movie set in the Star Wars universe, like Black Hawk Down in the Star Wars
something like
universe,
that. Yeah.
which is a good movie, by the way.
Let's see if they really go really dark with this movie, or I don't know.
I think it will be a militaristic movie, just like Black Hawk Down, about a centered around a specific mission. No, it will span a longer time period than Black Hawk Down, but it will be focused around their unit and their part in the war and their part in the resistance or the rebels. So it's I think it will be more gritty and more down to earth than the actual named entries, than the numbered entries in the series. So like episode 7 and episode 8. So this is the first teaser or trailer we saw that's not actually from the main movie, and the second one was a trailer for the Rebels season 2, which the Rebels, if the listeners don't know, is an animated series set before A New Hope, like a few years before A New Hope, right? Do you know how many years before?
4 years before A New Hope, I think.
Yeah, so it's a few years before A New Hope, and it's the starting of the Rebel Alliance, and
Well, you see in the it focuses more on one single cell of the Rebel Alliance. So
it's the Rebel Alliance in this stage is just like fragmented cells around on some planets, and it's the story about one of these cells and a smuggler and a Jedi disciple, a Jedi Padawan or a disciple, whatever you want to call, and a new kid who is also Force powers. And so the first season I think it was good,
yeah,
but I don't know. The look of the actual animation, it reminded me also about the prequels, the movie prequels. Like it's CGI, of course, and it looks very clean.
yeah.
So of course they went for this because then you don't need to actually produce that much decals and stuff to litter around in the scene. So it's obviously to keep the production cost down, but I think it detracts from the actual story. At least for me, who has seen the episode 1 to episode 3 like a few times and didn't actually like how clean they looked. So it's the story itself. I think it's for a kids show. It's actually good. Of course you notice that the target audience is like the 10 to 15 demographic. So I'm probably a little bit old for watching this, but I did watch anyway, and I managed to finish the first season, and it was okay. And so we got the trailer for the second season during Star Wars Celebration, and it features like Darth Vader, and it features like laser sword fights, and I think it also features Tarkin. Did I see that right?
Yeah, we see a prototype for a possible B-wing bomber. What else was in there?
Yeah. Do we actually know when the season will start?
I think in around August,
So
September.
did the current season also did the first season also start in August? I thought they
I
started in fall or
I
later in fall.
think I don't know at this point. Sorry, but good
Because
question.
the season 1 finished in February.
Yeah. Normally, September, end of the September is when American shows start normally.
Okay. Because the first season ended just before we started our podcast,
Yeah.
and
They always have annoying season breaks in their shows. So
yeah, that's of course. But if they really will start in August, it will be quite soon actually. It will be before the movie.
no, they started in October. Sorry.
Okay, let's see if maybe IMDb has an actual. Oh wait, that's not what I wanted to look at. Maybe they have starting date? No.
I think it was floating around, but I can't really remember. Yeah, it looks interesting because the show focuses more or less on one cell on one planet,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't yet know that they are part of a bigger rebellion, more or less.
Yeah,
They
that
just
I think that the fact that they are part of a bigger rebellion is revealed like later in
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
season.
That they finally realized that they're not the only cell out there. That there are more rebel cells, and there's actually a bigger rebel movement. But it will be interesting. I think they will continue to focus on Lothal and this one planet during the rebellion. Because so they also circumvent the questions why we have never seen these characters before
In the movies,
in the
or
movies or in other, so they can circumvent that question.
continuity errors, like they'd like to say. Yeah, that's of course. I did like the first season, so I will definitely watch the second season. But I can see other mature listeners of the show who can't really get into the show because it's themed for kids.
Yeah,
So it's most of it is lighthearted. You have some dark scenes and dark
yeah, but
episodes, but they are
there's
usually far in between.
some really stupid episodes where it's just about them stealing some fruit and
Yeah.
it's not interesting at all. But the last couple, I think the last 4 episodes were really okay. So when it was about traitors in the rebellion and so on, so these episodes were interesting. And yeah, we will see how the next season will be. But I think the show is planned for 4 or 5 seasons, and then they will continue with another TV show.
4 or 5 seasons is actually quite a long time, so that's 4 or 5 years. So it's a good run for a kids show, I think.
Yeah, for normally you have 2 or 3 years for a cartoon.
So that's the general Star Wars stuff for the Star Wars celebration. Now we go on to the actual FFG news that were coming out of the Star Wars celebration. So we had new stuff spoiled for the game, which were new ally and villain packs that will be released in fall. So they said third quarter 2015, but that depends on where you actually live. So
Yeah,
I think
will be
it will be
September,
somewhere in
October.
fall.
Maybe they have a couple of them of the packs already at Gen Con, probably.
Yeah,
but
probably have some demo kits on Gen Con, and maybe they even sell it in Gen Con, but not before then.
no, but it's planned for September or something.
Yeah. So the 3 new packs that were spoiled or that were announced were the mercenary pack, which are the hired guns. You have
Two Rhodians.
2 Rhodians, of course, 2 Rhodians, and then you have the villain pack is. Of course, that the Rhodians are also called villain pack because technically the mercenary faction is part of the villains. So the second pack, which is also a villain pack, is additional stormtroopers,
But in a
which are
different
probably-
pose.
but in a different pose. Yeah, I think it's only slightly different.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
had-
really. It's like you have to look really carefully to see
to see that they are actually different from the guys in the core box. So I think they squandered a perfectly good situation here.
Yeah,
but we will see.
It's interesting that we will see the release of some of the units from the base set in
In pack form.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
makes sense for skirmish building, for building of skirmish armies. So you don't have to buy two core
core
box
boxes.
set just to get another Imperial officer, because there's some lists now running with 4 officers, and
You only have 3 in the core box.
exactly. And it's not so. I think it's not so bad that you have different positions, little bit different looking miniatures for them.
So the third pack that was announced was an ally pack, and it's called Wookiee Warriors, with 2 Wookiee figures, of course. And the thing I took away from the packs is that I probably won't get the stormtroopers at first, because the there's actually an FFG article on the site about these 3 new packs, and they spoiler 1 card of the pack for each of the packs. So we have 3 cards spoiled, and the first card for the Wookiee pack is Improvised Weapons, which is a card for the skirmish game.
Which looks like fun, yeah.
It looks like fun. And is it a what's this race? Someone is throwing a table at a Rhodian.
Yeah, I think it's a Wookiee or something like that.
Do you think it's a Wookiee? I think it's green.
Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe he has a fashionable haircut.
yeah. So someone is throwing a table at a Wookiee, and it's a skirmish card applying to any figure, and it's a special action. Perform a ranged attack using 1 green and 1 yellow die. You cannot use abilities during this attack. So it's basically a way to circumvent the fact that the figure is not ranged or doesn't have a ranged attack, and it lets you get off 1 ranged attack with this figure without moving or something else. So it doesn't cost any deployment or command deck points. But you can only include 1 of them in your command deck, which is a shame actually. So you can't really focus your deck around this.
Yeah, but in every of these packs there's how do I call it, additional development card? Like do they have
deployment
a special
card?
Yeah, but a deployment card not with a unit on it, but with some ability.
Yeah, it's a what's it called? You have I have it somewhere here. It's the same shape like a deployment card.
Exactly, but it has you pay for it also, but it's gives you effect on your whole army more or less, or your so.
I will try to find out how this is called because I have them here. It's called it doesn't say because in the base game in the core box you have
3, yeah.
for the rebels you have Balance of the Force and Rebel High Command, where Balance of the Force costs 1 deployment point, and you may include additional 3 points worth of command cards in your deck. So this is they have a name for these cards. I forget them. There are so many different card types in this game. So it's of course it alters the way your command deck or your units work during the skirmish game. So
every set in this release has one of these cards. However they are
called. Yeah.
So
you can actually see.
So it shows that this is more or less a release aimed
focused on skirmish games.
Yeah, a little bit more on skirmish game, but of course you can use this. You can use the side missions and the figures in the campaign.
Yeah, but they're really focused on the what's it called, on the skirmish side of the game, whereas the current Wave 1 stuff, I think it's not focused on the campaign, but most of the packs are better used in the campaign than in skirmish. I think only the Rebel Saboteurs and the Rebel Troopers are better in skirmish than they are for campaign.
Yeah.
And the other 5, they are usually better in the
I think if I see it right, most of the missions also have no time period on it. So
yeah,
I think I don't know if I see it right or if it's yeah.
Actually, for the pictures that are spoiled, you can see the deployment card for the Wookiees, and the Wookiees have a special ability called Fury, where when they have 3 or more damage tokens on their figure, then they apply 1 surge to the attack results for free. That's crazy. They also have either Cleave 2 or Cleave 3. I can see it completely. But they either have one of them and it's costing like 2 surges or so.
But I think the first thing I will do is making an all Wookiee skirmish
deck.
Yeah. Have an all Wookiee troop with Chewie and maybe 2 Wookiee warriors also on, and
2 Wookiee warriors.
Have just my Wookiee army.
Yeah, the packs open up a lot of different abilities to thematically style your skirmish deck.
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
So for the second pack for the hired guns, the the card that was spoiled was Mercenary Ties, which is a reward card for the Imperial player in the campaign, and it reads, exhaust this card when an Imperial figure declares an attack. After the attack resolves, the target, if the target suffered one or more damage, he also suffers one strain, which is very good, I think, and I will probably include that as soon as possible in my campaigns when I use the Subversive Tactics deck, because
it would run
it
perfectly
combos
along,
nicely
yeah.
with other Subversive Tactic cards. We will talk about them later. So Mercenary Ties is probably, so the Hired Guns will probably the pack I will get first because of Mercenary Ties. And the third pack, the Stormtroopers, we also have a card spoiler, which is To the Last Man. I think it's an agenda card, which I rambled on our Facebook page because it's worth 2 influence, so you have to spend 2 influence to get it, and it reads. It's actually, the funny thing is, on the top right it says Vader's Fist, which will be probably the name of the command deck,
yeah.
which will be included. Which is funny because isn't Vader's Fist the name for the current meta skirmish army where you include Vader and 2 stormtroopers and Imperial officers and so?
Yeah.
But did he actually lift that? Did he actually use that from the meta to include in the
I don't think, because
product?
they already had it was already in the Star Wars LGG game. There was already a objective deck is called, I think, Vader's Fist. It's a deck
because it's really funny.
Yeah, I think that the Team Convent guys got the name from the Star Wars LGG game.
Okay, yeah, maybe they had it prepared in advance, but it kind of looks like they maybe used it from the meta of the skirmish to actually include in an official product.
We will see this in the future, because very often if they ask the people who play tournaments and who are like won some tournaments,
active in the community,
they are active in the community. Ask them for, okay, if you would design a new card, what kind of
would
card?
you do?
And there are a lot of in Star Wars X-Wing at the moment. There are a lot of already cards designed by tournament winners, designed by different people to change the meta in the game, to change how some stuff behaves. How
to break old habits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So the card itself, it reads To the Last Man, and elite stormtrooper squads stop at nothing to avenge their comrades, fighting to the last man standing. And keep this card secret. During any mission, play this card on a stormtrooper figure whose group has only 1 figure remaining. The figure's group cannot be reinforced, but while attacking, add 1 red die to the figure's attack pool. While defending, add 1 white die to this figure's defense pool. Discard this card at the end of this mission or when this figure is defeated. So it's a one-time use card for 2 influence. I think that's a first. The current agenda decks only have cards you discard after use that cost 1 influence, not 2. So it's very expensive, and the effect, I think it's really weak for what you pay. I took my time to ramble on about this on the Facebook page, and no one actually replied. So I think either people are afraid to confront me on this, or they are actually agreeing with me.
It's exactly only that. It's a fun thematic card to play, but
it's very thematic. But for like 2 in influence, I could see it be a 1 influence card, no problem. It's not overpowered for this. It's not underpowered. It would be right for 1 influence. But 2, it's really too much for me. This is the pack I probably get last because of that reason. Because if you only play campaign, you probably don't need additional stormtroopers, and the agenda card you get, it's really not that good. So maybe we will see if they spoil additional cards for the packs over the coming months, and if there are any better stuff in the stormtroopers pack. But I highly doubt it. So. That's the news we had from FFG during the Star Wars Celebration, and of course I will link to the tweet from Team Covenant actually announcing the new packs, and then the news post on FFG, which is detailing what's in the new packs, what the thematic goal for them is, and what they are for. So when they are released. Currently, I think it's like Q3 2015, but they are not even on the upcoming products page. So that's I think that's all we wanted to talk about lore this week. It just took like 1 hour or so.
Yeah. At the FFG panel, they had some questions. They had also like a time where you could ask questions, and they would give very vague answers. But somebody asked if they have plans for content from Star Wars Rebels, from the TV show. And they just answered, yeah, there are some cool characters and ships in this show, aren't there? So
okay, so
maybe
it's basically
we will
confirmed.
See, yeah, well, it's not. It's probably we'll see them in X-Wing. Maybe we'll see some stuff in Imperial Assault. So
yeah, I think it's either or both. We can definitely
there was
both.
a question about if they're working on like role-playing books or even something for Imperial Assault, which would focus on the on the Empire side. So you would play the role-playing game in as servants of the Empire, or stuff for Imperial Assault themed around that. And they said it's an interesting concept, and I think they're working on it they implied that they are working on it for the role-playing game, but I think for Imperial Assault it's way off still. So
yeah, maybe in 2 years or so.
Yeah.
When the game is a little bit more solidified and you have more options on both sides.
It will be
it's starting to
interesting
get stale.
when they start with the first sets set in a different time period, because we are now more or less in the beginning of the time period, or all the stuff that is released is has no limitations on the time period. So it will be interesting when we have the first stuff and the first missions which are not in this time period. And they said they have no interests in doing anything in the prequel area, so there will be no role-playing books, no games set in the prequel area. So
good riddance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the only thing we see in the role-playing game, sometimes they are in the adventures written by Fantasy Flight. Sometimes you find old ships from the Clone Wars, and there's still some functioning droids in there that will fight against you. And yeah. The only
no
thing,
midi-chlorians.
The only thing I really want to see is from Old Republic is the HK-47 assassin droid. How it is called?
I don't actually know it.
It's a droid from. It's one of the characters you can have in the Old Republic in the game, and he's hilarious. And there's artwork of him in the role-playing book, so I really hope that.
Is it? No, it's not. It's not the one that one of the General Grievous guards.
No. He's a.
Oh, okay.
He's a in the Old Republic book video game. It's a very funny assassin droid, and he's very sarcastic, and is an assassin. And there's some supercuts of his dialogues from the game, and they're really hilarious because he always talks about meat bags when he talks about humanoid aliens, and he's really hilarious, and I hope he's coming to the
role-playing game, or to Imperial Assault.
Yeah,
he's
a droid. He's
a droid. He can survive.
But we can talk about this next time. I looked through the role-playing books for artwork and stuff that maybe could be upcoming characters or troopers. So
yeah, of course, we can talk about it next time.
Yeah, that's probably for next time. But there's some cool artwork, and some cool artwork which is drawn by the artists who did the art for the hero sheets, for the
for the hero cards.
Yeah, exactly. And there's some cool artwork of her, so probably this could be the next heroes or something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll see about that next time, I think.
Yeah, it's probably better, yeah.
And that's it for lore this time. We only took 1 hour or so. So we will swiftly go to our next topic, which is card discussion. And of course, like always, we will have campaign class discussion and then skirmish card discussion. For campaign class discussion this week, we have Jin Oden, Fen Cygnus, and Subversive Tactics for the Imperial player. And we will start with Jin. Since you already have experience with her, with both of them, I think.
Yeah.
You can also give some input. Jin itself, she's dubbed like a sly smuggler, and on her hero sheet you have two abilities, which is the first is Quick Draw. For 2 strain, use at the start of a hostile figure's activation. Interrupt to perform an attack with a pistol targeting that figure. Limit once per round, twice if you have 2 activation tokens. And the second one is Opportunist. After you resolve an attack, if the target suffered 1 or more damage, move 1 space. So, the first Quick Draw, you actually have to take, as Imperial player, you can circumvent this if you, if you have a group of like multiple figures on one deployment card, and you want to activate this group, you don't activate them all at the same time. You activate them figure by figure.
Yeah.
So by activating one of the figures who is out of line of sight of Jin, you avoid triggering Quick Draw, and then you can place them like in line of sight between Jin and the next figure, and activate the second figure, and so like leapfrog towards her or away from her, depending on in which direction you want to go. And so this is a role you have to really be clear about, that Jin can't shoot at targets that she can't see. So if you activate only figures that you can see, she can shoot at them. So because she's really one of the more annoying heroes as an Imperial player in the first part of the campaign, because she gets basically a free attack almost every round, and so it's like 1 free action per round, which is actually very much at the beginning of the campaign. So, what do I want to say also about her? Yeah, Opportunist, of course, makes her very fast on the board, because each time she deals damage, she can move 1 space, which is usually once, twice, or even 3 times per round. So her speed is also 5, so you should expect her speed to be actually 6 or even maybe even 7. So she's fast and she can get to objectives fast, but she's with 10 health and 4 endurance. She doesn't actually can soak up that much damage before giving up. Yeah, that's about her hero sheet. She's starting with a Vintage Blaster, which is 2 green attack dice, and has +1 damage and +1 accuracy as surge abilities. It's okay, but it deals. I think they should have given her instead a green, and either a green and a yellow or a green and a blue dice, because 2 green dice, I think it's dealing too much damage at the beginning of the campaign. Because 2 green dice, you get like 3 damage per roll, which is 1 stormtrooper, 1 normal stormtrooper. So you can in one round, Jin can eliminate a full deployment card of stormtroopers, which is too much, I think. Yeah. So maybe they did it for balancing reasons, but thematically she's too strong at the beginning of the campaign. Later on, when the pistols are starting to get weaker, and especially when surge abilities on weapons count more than damage, this is less of a problem later on. But in the start of the campaign, she can be really annoying to you.
Yeah, that's true.
If you play Imperial, of course.
Yeah.
So you should really avoid drawing her, enabling her Quick Draw if you can at any rate possible. You need to avoid this.
Yeah, she killed one of my. She killed the last stormtrooper in one of my groups. So yeah, it was really annoying and putting a lot of sand into my well-oiled plans to defeat them.
That's bad. Yeah. So for the class cards for Jin, you have for 1 XP Quick as a Whip, After an attack targeting you is resolved, you may move 1 space, this card is making her even faster. And if you play Imperial, for the first XP, you should take this, because the Imperial player will target you quite heavily, because you are probably the squishiest target. And so you can use this to your advantage after the first mission by moving even faster than you already do. The second 1 experience card is Smuggler's Luck, which has three effects. The first is exhaust this card while performing an attribute test to reroll any number of dice, which makes her good for resolving some mission requirements where you have to discard a token or open a door. So she's good for that. And second effect is exhaust this card after you draw a supply card and discard that card to draw another one. This is less of a good idea, I think, because all of the supply cards currently are very valuable and you can use them. It's rare that my players drew a supply card and didn't use it at mission. It's really rare, so this effect isn't that good actually. And the third effect is during the Rebel upgrade stage, draw 1 additional item card. So this is kind of a mixed bag. You have a similar effect on the Imperial side in an agenda deck. For 1 influence you can buy it and you get an additional card per upgrade stage. But I find this makes more sense if you have more players and less sense if you have less players. Yeah. Because if you have less players, you don't get that much credits anyway. So if you get more cards, you don't get more. You have more cards to choose from. But since you have limited funds anyway, you probably don't need this. So if you play with many players, Smuggler's Luck might be worth a try. But I think Quick as a Whip for 1 experience points is stronger, and you should go for Quick as a Whip sooner than for Smuggler's Luck. So that's the 1 XP card out of the way. The 2 XP cards are the first one is Roll with It, which is 1 search to use when an attack targeting you is declared to apply 1 block to your defense results. You may convert 1 or more block results to search cancels.
I think this is really good.
It's using up 1 of your strain.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You should. I mean, it's good in that way because you're a squishy target and you have more staying power with it. But the other 2 experience card is Cheap Shot, which is when you use Quick Draw, apply +1 damage to the attack results. The attack also gains Surge, is stunned. I think this is much better than Roll with It.
Yeah, it's better in the beginning game, yeah.
Because stunning enemies is good at any time. And since you try to use Quick Draw anyway, the +1 damage will be used, and +1 damage is better than +1 block on your side. Because you have a larger health pool, you can rest, you can manage this better than the Imperial player, which is... the +1 damage might make the difference between defeating a figure and not defeating it. So I think the Cheap Shot is better. Also, Cheap Shot doesn't cost any strain. It doesn't exhaust. I mean, you only use it when you use Quick Draw, which you can only use if you spend 2 strain. But since you already want to use Quick Draw, which costs 2 strain, an additional strain for Roll with It, most of the time you don't have this buffer available. You are on the top of your endurance anyway. So I'd say as a Rebel player, use Cheap Shot because it's better than Roll with It. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but that's how I see it. Did any of your players already buy any XP cards?
They bought the Smuggler's Luck card and saved up the 1 XP for probably buying a 2 XP or 3 XP card. I don't know yet.
Okay. So the 3 XP cards for Jin are Gunslinger. When attacking with a pistol, you can use search abilities from any pistol you brought to the mission. This is the first effect. And the second effect is 1 strain. Exhaust this card when attacking to apply +1 search to your attack results. It reads kind of funny, but I think it works good because you can hoard blasters and swap out, because you only can take 2 weapons with you to a mission, but you can also use the surge abilities from the unused weapon with this card without having to expand strain, without having to expand any other stuff. So this is a good card, and for 1 strain, giving you 1 surge ability is also very good, especially if you do have cheap shot, which gives you the surge ability stun. So if you don't roll a surge, you can always give you yourself a surge with 1 strain and stun an enemy figure, which is very good.
Yeah.
So Gunslinger is good. The second free XP card, which my Jin player actually chose, was Get Cocky. Exhaust this card after you resolve an attack. If the target figure was defeated, recover 2 strain or become focused. If you play against Subversive Tactics, this is clearly the better choice instead of Gunslinger.
Yeah.
Because Subversive Tactics, the Imperial player will target you with strain and will load you up with strain anytime he can, so you don't get to use Quick Draw. So Get Cocky actually might enable you to use Quick Draw after he already unloaded strain on you. So in my campaign, it actually makes sense to use Get Cocky. But I can see if you play against Military Might or Technological Superiority, Gunslinger might be more valuable, especially because it has 2 effects, not just 1.
Yeah. I can see
these
that.
These are the free XP cards. The 4 XP cards are Sidewinder. After you resolve an attack, you may move up 2 spaces, which makes it even faster. That might actually be overkill, because you can, with this you get, if you use 2 actions for 2 attacks during the round, you can move 4 spaces, which makes you you can attack twice a round and move like a normal character, which usually has speed 4. This is good, but the other is Trick Shot, and for 1 strain, use before you declare an attack with a ranged weapon. You can draw line of sight from any space within 3 spaces. And the important part about this is that this also works with Quick Draw. So if Jin has Trick Shot, she can use, and she has of course free strain available, she can use Trick Shot and then use Quick Draw when you activate a figure. So she can probably use Quick Draw in any situation, unless you play Subversive Tactics and you unload all of your strain on her, so she doesn't have the free strain available to her. So Trickshot is a nasty card as Imperial player, especially if you don't play Subversive Tactics. And if you play Jin as a Rebel player and are up not against the Subversive Tactics deck, you should get Trickshot as soon as you can. Maybe take one of the 1 XP cards and then save up for for Trickshot, or maybe take 1 2 XP card and then save up for Trickshot. But it's really so good, you should get it. And Sidewinder, like I said, I think this is overkill, but maybe I'm wrong on this. Did your characters or your players have trouble moving through the battlefield to get to the objectives?
No, but I reminded them, had to remind them again that they can use strained as movement points.
Strain as movement points, yeah. That's actually that's devious of you, because you can by dishing out additional strain, you can actually deal damage with your
it was hilarious
abilities.
because that's more or less how I cracked the Jedi character, because
yeah, that's
it was a friend of mine who played for the first time, and he thought, I don't need my strain yet, and he was fully strained out, and I could then take damage on him. And that's interesting. You then can just add 2 damage on the characters if they are full in strain. So that's very neat trick to use with Subversive
No, wait
Tactics.
a minute. That's isn't this? Yeah, of course. I know the surgical strike.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's another ability where you can in the Subversive Tactics deck where you can apply 2 strain to any hero at the end of the round, but only if he doesn't have, if he has not strain equal to his endurance. So I have to dig for my cards now because I actually forgot to take out the weapon for Fan Cygnus, our next hero. No. Ah, there it is. Okay. So we can actually also reference this card. Okay, our next hero we will talk about is Fan Cygnus, the hardened veteran. So he's a mixed bag between a melee and a ranged character. Of course, only because he has that much health and he can upgrade. I think he can upgrade his health. Yes. So he has a similar health pool to the Wookiee, but he actually uses a rifle most of the time. So it's like a hybrid class. So, and his abilities on his hero sheet are Havoc Shot, 1 strain, use while attacking with a ranged weapon. This attack gains Blast 1. This is good, and since it's saying use while attacking with a ranged weapon, you can choose to take this after you see if you hit or not. Because you have to hit, you have to actually inflict damage with the attack to gain the blast's condition. It's not a condition, it's an effect or a keyword. So make the keyword stick, you have to first deal damage to the target, and then you can blast the others around the target. And the second ability of Fan Cygnus is Lone Wolf. At the end of your activation, if there are no friendly figures adjacent to you, recover 1 strain. This is actually very good, because you can't choose not to recover 1 strain. So if Fan Cygnus ends up in a space where he is not adjacent to any allies at the end of the round, and he recovers 1 strain, even if he was full strain before, he now has like 1 strain missing, and I can then at the end of the round play the card I will talk about later to give him 2 more strain, and one of these strain is of course then translated into a damage, so I can theoretically damage him even if he tried to avoid this. So this is actually for a Subversive Tactics player a good ability on a hero for once. At least I see it that way. It also means that if you don't heavily focus on Fan Cygnus, you should try to avoid him actually using strain, because he's constantly regenerating strain, and if you don't pile on strain on him, he can use his ability like he wants. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think Lone Wolf actually works more in my favor than in his favor, at least when I'm playing Subversive Tactics. So, of course, his standard weapon is the infantry rifle, which is attacking with a blue and a green die, and has surge +1 damage and surge +1 accuracy. The same as the pistol from Jin. I think that the dice, they should have swapped this, because, yeah, the infantry rifle should be more accurate than the blaster, but I don't think it warrants that it does deal less damage. This is his standard rifle. My players actually they upgraded the rifle to one of the class 2 deck rifles, but even his standard rifle, because he can trigger blast at will, it's a great rifle. So his XP cards are, for 1 XP, you have either Take Cover, which is 1 strain, exhaust this card when an attack targeting you is declared. Add 1 white die to your defense pool. This is not bad, because a white die has the dodge symbol on it and has many search cancels, so it's okay. It's the one card you should use if you notice that the Imperial player tries to target you mostly. But the other one I think is better, because it's Tactical Movement. Exhaust this card at the start of your activation. Choose yourself or a friendly figure within 3 spaces. That figure gains 2 movement points. You have to, the thing you have to take care about rules-wise is, this has to be done at the start of his activation before he does any other actions.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Good to know.
the movement points gained, you have to use immediately, or they discard. Because since if you gain movement points other than through a movement action, they are used as an interrupt, or they are treated as an interrupt, and you have to use them, or they are void. They actually don't stick around until after that. So if you play Fan and you notice that the Imperial player doesn't heavily focus you, you should take tactical movement, not take cover. My players actually took take cover, but I think that will bite them in the ass later on. So, onto the 2 XP cards, which are Adrenaline Rush. Exhaust this card after an attack targeting you is resolved. If you suffered 1 or more damage, test Strength. If you pass, recover 3 strain. The Strength test is 1 blue and 1 green die for Fan Sickness, and I think that the odds that it fails are 1 in 16 or 1 in 24 is something like that. So that the odds of it failing are very low, and in a Subversive Tactics deck, this could come in handy. So you should take it instead of the other 2 XP card, which is Weapon Expert for 1 strain. Use when attacking to gain Pierce 1 and apply +2 accuracy to the attack results. This is, I think for Pierce 1 and +2 accuracy, it's not good.
It's a little bit expensive.
This is probably one of the weakest of his cards, because the Pierce 1 doesn't change that much about the attack, and the +2 accuracy, no. Yeah, the good thing is that you, like Havoc Shot, it says use while attacking, so you can not activate it until after the dice have rolled, and you see you wouldn't hit the target, so you activate it for +2 accuracy, and then you hit the target. Or you are 1 damage short of wounding it, or of defeating it, and you can, like this, you can pick and choose if you want to use it or not. But it still costs 1 strain, and it's I think Adrenaline Rush is better.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 XP cards. Yeah. Onto the 3 XP cards, which are Suppressive Fire. Yeah. For 1 strain, exhaust this card after resolving an attack using Havoc Shot. Each figure that suffers 1 or more damage chooses to either suffer 1 damage or become stunned. If that figure was already stunned, it must choose to suffer 1 damage. It's a bit complicated, but it basically says that if you used your Blast ability and you exhaust this card for 1 additional strain, you can either make your Blast stronger or stun the damaged targets. This includes that the target you actually attacked. So not only the targets of Blast, but also the target you actually attacked are subject to this ability. And since this has an theoretically 6 or it can have 6, 7, or even 8 targets. It's a good ability, especially if the Imperial player is doing Military Might, or is playing the Military Might deck, which makes his Stormtroopers stronger, and so he will use Stormtroopers more often. So you should use Suppressive Fire in that way. If you are up against Subversive Tactics, I think it's not a good card, and you should take the other one, but we will see why shortly, and with shortly I mean now, because the other 3 XP card is Trench Fighter. Exhaust this card when you declare an attack targeting a figure within 3 spaces. Apply +2 damage to the attack results. This is stronger than the 1 Pierce of, what's it called? The other one, Weapon Expert. And this, in combination with Weapon Expert, this can actually mean the difference between defeating a Royal Guard or a Transition Hunter and not defeating it. Nevertheless, you shouldn't take it until like mid-game of the campaign, because other XP cards are better all the time, and these are especially good at the end of the campaign when you need to pick single figures of the Imperial player and really put the heat on them and get them out of the way quickly, which is what Trench Fighter is for. So between Subversive Fire and Trench Fighter, they are both okay. I personally would pick Trench Fighter, but I wouldn't buy it until later in the campaign. So the last two cards are for 4 XP. You have Superior Positioning. This has 2 effects again. The first is a special action, which also costs 1 strain. Move a number of spaces up to your speed and become focused. This is actually quite good, because focused gives you an additional green die, which gives you surges and damage and range and all of that good stuff. And you can also move, which is not that bad. So I'd say that it's a good 4 XP card, especially after you read the second part, which is while defending while you are focused, apply +1 block to your defense results. So
this is really good, yeah.
This is for you to get into the enemy lines and then unleashing the pain there. So it's good. But the other 4 XP card, I think it's a little bit better, and Superior Positioning is probably a bit... the applications are... You can't apply it every turn, but the other 4 XP card is Rebel Elite, which is good all the time, because it also has 2 abilities, and the first is apply +3 health and 1 endurance to your hero. This makes your hero have 15 health and 5 endurance, which is, especially against the Subversive Tactics deck, very good.
Yeah.
And the second effect is, when you use Havoc Shot, it applies Blast 2 instead of Blast 1. This is also very good, because Blast 2 is very strong.
Both 4 XP cards are really good.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. They are both good, but you probably can't afford both of them in one campaign, unless you skimp on all the other cards, or most of the other cards. So, between Superior Positioning and Rebel Elite, I'm actually not sure what I would choose. Probably depends on what the Imperial player is playing. So, they're both good. You should use judgment and you should use your instincts to see which one you should go with. I'd say get Rebel Elite because it seems to be stronger to me, but maybe I'm just afraid my heroes will die. So I need the additional health. So that's it for Fansignus. Which card did Fansignus buy in your campaign?
Well, he won his side mission, so he got veteran powers.
Oh yeah, the legendary, the reward card. Yeah. What does it do again?
When you use Havoc Shot, apply +1 blast damage to attack result. So, and so he gets 1 additional damage for using the Havoc Shot, and exhaust his cards after resting. You recover 2 damage, which is really good.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's also really good. Yeah, I think all the reward cards for the characters, for the hero characters, are really good.
And yeah, he bought both 1 XP cards.
Both of them.
Yeah,
okay.
take cover
because
and take movement.
Because my player, like I said, they took take cover and then they saved up for Rebel Elite. They probably are afraid that I want to kill them, which is the right idea, I think. So for our Imperial deck this week, we have Subversive Tactics, my new favorite deck, because it's crazy good. So, Subversive Tactics, you start with the free card, which is Prey Upon Doubt. Don't have 1 XP cards. Prey Upon Doubt for Subversive Tactics, it's exhaust this card when a rebel figure declares an attack. The rebel figure chooses to either suffer 1 strain or apply a +1 surge cancel to the defense results. What you need to take care of rules-wise here is this has to be done before you roll, or even before before you do anything with the attack. So the rebel player says, I want to attack this or this character, is gathering the dice, and before he's throwing the dice, you have to say, I want to use Prey Upon Doubt. Then the rebel player has to choose between either the strain or the Surge Cancel, and then cast his roll. So you can't decide which to take until after the roll. You have to decide before. Yeah. It's a good ability, but I think in my mind it was stronger than it actually is. But I think in the later stages, when the rebels are using more surge abilities and are relying more upon surge abilities, this is actually, it's getting stronger throughout the campaign, I think, which is good for a card you don't actually have to spend anything on.
Yeah.
So, and then you have the the Wombo combo. For 1 XP, you have Surgical Strike. Exhaust this card after an Imperial figure resolves an attack. The target suffers 1 strain and 1 damage for no reason at all other than you having this card. This is really good. And the second one, XP card, is Savage Weaponry. It's an attachment. It's giving Pierce 1 without anything, so it's an innate Pierce 1, and it also gives Surge for Bleed. So you can convert Surges to Bleed. This, of course, is an attachment, so it counts for all figures in a deployment card. So if you slap it on Stormtroopers, all of the Stormtroopers gain Pierce 1 and Surge Bleed. This is really good. But if you play Subversive Tactics, you probably don't use Stormtroopers that often. So you just slap it onto Transition Hunters or even Royal Guards, which is also good. They both benefit from Pierce 1 because the Surge Bleed, they both have Surge Bleed, I think. So it doesn't override, but you could technically trigger it twice. But since you can only apply 1 bleed to a target, it doesn't actually matter. So Savage Weaponry, it's a very good card, but you should get Surgical Strike first. Which did you get?
I got Surgical Strike first and probably will buy Savage Weaponry now.
Yeah, I also did the same. So for my first 2 XP about
because I think it's a really good card at the beginning of the campaign. Just the PS1 to ignore 1 block is really good in the beginning of the game.
It's good, yeah. I think I have used it, and I have used it to effect. It's just that it's not as strong as Surgical Strike. So, yeah. Because Surgical Strike, remember, the target suffers 1 strain and 1 damage. If it's full with strain, it suffers 2 damage, which is 2 additional damage for an attack, which is, especially if you play Transition Hunters, they get like plus damage from everywhere, because if you attack with a Transition Hunter within 3 spaces, he gets the target automatically suffers 1 strain at the start of the attack before the attack actually resolves. And then if you stand next to the target, you also get +1 damage for like the ability is called Scattergun on the deployment card of the Hunters. So you have, and if you combine it with Surgical Strike, you can basically do +4 damage during 1 attack if the target was previously already full with strain. And this is very, I think this is very cool. Don't get me wrong, this is really bad for the rebels, but I think it's very cool. So onto the 2 XP cards, which are Exploit Weakness, which I did choose after our last mission. Exhaust this card after a hero rests. An Imperial figure can interrupt to perform a move or perform an attack targeting that hero. This sounds good, but it also is not that good because if you play if you play Subversive Tactics, heroes will rest often. You can count on that because you are basically piling on strain on them. They need to get rid of the strain to actually use their abilities, so they will rest. And Exploit Weakness gives you the opportunity to move figures on the board, important figures on the board, or even attack the hero that rested. And I took it more for the move than for the attack, because most of the times they try to hide the rebel figure first and then rest. so I can't really attack them.
Yeah.
So I took it more for the movement than for the attack, but it's also good for the movement. And the second 2 XP card, which I didn't choose, is exhaust this card when a hero would suffer damage from an attack. Instead of suffering damage, that hero suffers an equal amount of strain. Oh, I don't know, it sounds so weak. It's probably the weakest card in Subversive Tactics, or I'm just stupid. That also might be the case. Because, in my mind, since the heroes are also already full with strain from your other abilities, even if you exhaust this card, you probably only get 1 or 2 strain off, and then the rest of the damage is actually already converted again to damage because the hero is full with strain. So also this, if you fill up a hero with strain, you can't use the next card I will talk about. I think is the next card. Yes, I think the next card, which enables you to deliver 2 strain to a random or to a hero you choose at the end of the round. But he can't be full with strain for you to use this ability. So I think heavy pressure, it's not for me. Maybe it's good with hunters or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems kind of lackluster compared to the other cards. So the second, these were the 2 XP cards. The first 3 XP card is Weary Target. At the end of each round, choose 1 hero who has not suffered strain equal to his endurance. That hero suffers 2 strain. This is the card I was referencing before. This is, and I have a trick for you. If you take this card and you want to not forget to use it at each turn, just place it on your round dial.
Okay.
So each time you want to advance your round dial, you automatically see, oh, I have Weary Target, I can use it. So that's the crutch I built for myself, so I don't forget to use it. And I think it's the second 3 XP card is Executioner. For 1 threat, exhaust this card when an Imperial figure declares an attack targeting a hero. Apply +1 damage for each strain the hero has suffered up to a maximum of +3. It's a good card, but I think it's strong in the late game because then you have the threat to actually trigger this. If you're playing the early game and you have 3 XP you want to spend, Weary Target is probably the card you should go for. And if you are 1 XP short in the late game to afford a 4 XP card, you should get Weary Executioner instead, which is also quite good, especially if you factor in Transition Hunters, which already apply +1 strain before they even attack. I mean, if they are in range, of course. So this is good for them, and so I don't know. I didn't choose it until now, and I probably will not choose it this campaign, but it's still a good card. I want to play it sometime, but for now I'm sticking to Weary Target. So then we only have left the 4 XP cards, which are No Quarter. When an Imperial figure declares an attack, targeting a hero who has suffered 2 or more strain, apply +1 surge to the attack results. It's okay, but for 4 XP I think it's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
The other card is Oppression. When a hero who has suffered 2 or more strain declares an attack, apply +1 surge cancel to the defense results. I think Oppression is actually better because my rationale for this is heroes do attack more often than you attack the heroes.
Yeah.
I think because they usually try to attack twice a round, and since you can dish out strain, especially in the late game, like crazy, you can count on them having 2 strain most of the time. So this will trigger quite often. No Quarter will also trigger quite often, but the +1 surge is worth less for you than the +1 surge cancel is for
against
you.
the heroes,
Yeah, the surges are worth more for the heroes, so canceling their surges is more important for you than getting surges for your own. So, I'm not sure. I would choose Oppression, but I will see how the late game develops. Maybe I'll choose no quarter. We'll see. Um, I'm not sure now, but I'm leaning in favor of oppression. So this is the full deck for subversive tactics, and it's like I said, it's a very very good deck. You should, if you play play your first campaign, you should try this deck out before any other because it basically plays itself. You're just doing all your abilities, and each ability you do is basically the right choice. You can't go wrong with anything, like compared to Military Might, where you can use Show of Force once per round, but it's which attack should you use it on, and it's kind of ambiguous that way. So Subversive Tactics is probably more user friendly in the beginning. So that's our campaign class discussion for today. And of course, now we just look at 4 additional command cards for skirmish games.
Give me a second, I have to get mine.
Yeah, I took ones that I think are currently relevant in the meta. Apart from the last, I think. The last one is not that relevant, I think, but we'll see.
I just put them like an inch away of my reach, so...
Okay. So the first command card we want to talk about today is Close the Gap. It's used at the start of your round. Each of your brawlers may move up to 1 space. Brawler is a keyword that is printed on some deployment cards. Currently, I think only Darth Vader and both of the Royal Guard types have the keyword on it. So what I did is this is of course good to use if you either play Vader and Royal Guards or just the Royal Guard champion with his friends, Royal Guards and Imperial officers. So this can enable you to move up because the Royal Guard champion is also a brawler. It can enable you to use to move up the Royal Guard champion within melee range, and then use the other card that's in his villain pack, which is, it's not Pummel, what's it called? Flurry of Blows, I think, or Flurry of Blades. Maybe it's Flurry of Blades, which enables you to attack 3 times in 1 round, which is currently the only time you can get this. It's taking up 2 special actions, so it's all of your round, but it's crazy good with the Royal Guard champion because he's dealing a high amount of damage, and he's doing it 3 times around, which basically kills 1 figure regardless of what type. Maybe Vader can block, but even he will be wounded. So Close the Gap, it's a good card. The bad thing about it is you can only include it once in the command deck, and it costs 2 command points, so it's eating up quite a lot of your command point allotment. I used it in the skirmish game I put on YouTube. I used it once to move all of my Royal Guards 1 space at the beginning of 1 round. It's very good, obviously, but it didn't actually change that much, I think. But nevertheless, you should include it, and it's a good card. So the next one is Take Initiative, and this is also a card that is mentioned in the current FAQ. It's used at the start of your round to claim the initiative token, then exhaust 1 of your deployment cards. You can only use this when it's not your turn. Like, you always pass around the initiative token between you and the opponent after the turn. And if you pass the initiative token after the turn, and before the next turn starts, you can play this card to take it away from him again. So you basically start 2 times in a row, and for that you have to exhaust 1 of your deployment cards. And the rule clarification for this is that the enemy, after you play this card, the enemy can't also play his card, take initiative, and take the initiative token back again, because this is only playable at the start of the round, and after you play it, the round technically has started. So you can't play two of them in quick succession and basically move around the initiative token twice before a round. You can only do it once. So you can't override take initiative with itself. Just in case someone thought that this is possible. It's also mentioned like this in the current FAQ, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting card, but again, it's shows the focus you have to put on choosing how many units you have for activation in the metagame. Because if I have more figures, then I can use this card to exhaust one of my groups or one of my development cards more easily.
Usually, if you play Imperium, if you play the Empire side, then you should, if you include take initiative, you should also include 1, 2, or even 3 Imperial officers, because they are prime target to exhaust, because their attack is weak. They only give 1 move action, and the other thing they can do is move themselves. This is not really that good. So if you play take initiative and you play Imperials, you should exhaust one of your Imperial officers. I think that's the current meta, I think. Because you shouldn't exhaust like Stormtroopers because they are free figures. What you should never do is exhaust any of your cards that have multiple figures on the deployment card, because you're losing more attacks per round that you actually gain. So, of course. So the next card is, which you should also include if you run Vader and or Imperial officers, is Planning. Technically, it's usable on any figure. It's a special action. Draw 2 command cards. If you are not a leader, discard one of those cards. So if you are a leader and you use it during the activation of any leader card, like Vader or Imperial officers, you get to draw 2 cards for this 1 card. This enables you to cycle your deck and get to the cards you want to faster. And especially if you use it on an Imperial officer, the Imperial officer can use one of his activations to boost, to move another Imperial figure, and the second one of his activations to use Planning, because he technically, most of the time, he doesn't need to move it himself, so you can use it on him, and then get 2 additional command cards that help you with other figures. So if you run Imperial officers, you should of course always include Planning. I think it's all of the meta groups, or all of the skirmish groups that run Imperial officers also use Planning, because you get your command cards faster and you can play them more consistently.
Yeah.
So these are the stronger cards we talked today, and I think the weaker card today is called Expose Weakness. You can use it on any figure, and it's a special action. Choose an adjacent hostile figure. The next attack targeting that figure gains Pierce 3. Of course, this is good against high-value targets like Vader, like the ATST, like the Royal Guard Champion. But since you have to you have to use one of your actions for this, I don't think it's worth it most of the time. PS3 is really only relevant when you when you attack a figure that rolls 2 black dice, because otherwise you're basically gambling that you only get like 2 block results on the defense roll, and you only cancel the 2 block results that the enemy actually got, but not more than that. So I think it's the weakest of the 4 cards we talked about today, and it's like a special case card, but in conjunction with high damage output and a figure that is defending that has 2 black defense style like the ATST or General Weiss or Vader, this might actually be good. So these are I think the skirmish card discussions for today. Since I don't have that much skirmish experience, I can't comment any more on them, but I will probably next week for the next 4 cards. And that's it for card discussion. And any more to add?
No, I'm fine, yeah.
So we will move on to our next section, which is community stuff. And for community stuff today, we have the first I want to mention is someone built a website where you can build skirmish armies with a graphical user interface on the website itself. They have all the current core box cards and deployment cards and skirmish cards, command cards, and of course all the wave 1 command cards and deployment cards. So you can go to the site. It's called ia-armies.com. I also will link this in the show notes. And build your skirmish armies like you want them and see how you can synergize some deployment cards with some command cards and whatever. So use this if you are interested in skirmish. Use this this website to build your decks. I haven't used it that much. I think there currently is no way to save your decks, but I might be mistaken. Maybe they even included it during the time I was last on the website. But in any case, you should go on there and look it up and see if it's useful to you. And the second stuff we wanted to talk about today is painting the Wave 1 minis. I think Herwig has done that already, and we didn't get any photos from you for the Wave 1 stuff, right?
Ah, yeah, right. There were
You just uploaded
pictures from Brushfire mission. I didn't use any of my Wave 1 figures in this mission, yeah.
Yeah, I just the Wookiee especially looked very nice, and the ATST of course too.
The angle of the picture was really good. Yeah, the Wookiees are easy and fun to paint because painting fur is always easy with dry brushing, and dry brushing is really one of the most simple techniques in miniature painting, and you can get really good results with it. And dry brushing works in a way that you only that you more or less put some paint on your brush, then try to get with a towel or paper get a lot of the paint off your brush, so you only have a little amount of paint in your brush, and then try to brush over the raised areas of a figure, like with the fur of the hairy parts, and then the paint only is stays on the raised parts of the miniature, so it's really good for getting depth. And you can just I used 3 different tones of brown. You can really build up very easily, very fast color in the highlight. It's really a fantastic technique for painting fur and so on.
Did you paint the Royal Guard champion too?
Yeah, but I looked up some of the because he's based on one of the characters from the old
we told that last time,
comics. So I had to look up really the paint scheme for him. So because it uses less red and more black than the Royal Guard. So
than the Royal Guards. I think him and IG88 are probably the hardest to paint because they have so small extremities, and the weapons they're all relatively small compared to the other figures in the Wave 1, right?
Yeah. You can paint A88. You can really paint easily in metallic colors with some dry brushing. Also, dry brushing also works wonders with.
Did you paint his weapon also metallic?
No, black.
Okay.
Some black gray.
He's also, I think, in his deployment card, he's all black, right?
Yeah, it's the black version. I used one of my old favorite colors, which is like a little bit metallic, a little bit bronzed color, which always means like it looks a little bit more weathered.
Oh, okay. And yeah, that's probably a nice effect to have on him. Because he's quite old already.
And I think there are 4 of AG88s, 4 assassin droids. It's like A, B, and C, right? So maybe we will see more of them in the future.
Yeah, I cannot remember that the first time I heard about him was not actually that the name I heard was during playing Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, I think. He has a small role in it at the beginning, I think. I think it's in the beginning.
I think
Can't remember anymore.
I think he's
And
one of the others in the other video games. I think he is in Shadow of the Empire, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I can't really remember.
maybe I'm mixing up Jedi Knight and Shadow of the Empire again. I still haven't played Shadow of the Empire, so still have that in front of me. So, anything more to add for the Wave 1 mini painting?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
Maybe next
So
time.
maybe you can upload some of
Yeah.
some of the photos from the Wave 1 to the Facebook page, so the listeners can maybe not even look at them, but also get some inspirations on what colors to use and how to build up the details.
Yeah.
Okay, that's community stuff for today. The next is our rules clarification. And the question we have, or the rule question we have today is, can incapacitated heroes use strain to move? So incapacitated is a special state heroes can be in only during certain missions, in the campaign of course. So I think drawn in, no, not drawn in, yeah, I think drawn in is one of these missions. It's like the one of the fourth campaign missions, and during these missions the rebel have to escape after doing the task on a ship, and to escape they also need to move their figures to the escape token, or to the entrance token of course, which also doubles for escape, and to actually not break the game by when you make a character withdraw, technically he isn't on the board anymore and he couldn't escape, so does the mission. And to avoid this question, in this mission, heroes are incapacitated instead of withdrawn. So this is a special state, and the question on the board was the mission only says that I think the hero can take only one move action during his turn, but it doesn't specifically rule out that they can use strain to move additional tiles. So someone wrote to FFG, and of course Justin replied, and he said, no, an incapacitated hero cannot use strain to gain movement points and can only use actions as specified in the mission. Drawn in only allows moves, no interacts. So he not only cannot use strain to move, but he also cannot use his action to interact with doors, crates, terminals. He can really only use the actions specified in the mission. So if you're playing the campaign and you're the Imperial player, take good care in reading out what the heroes can actually do when they are incapacitated.
Yeah.
So that's rules clarification for this week. And we will move on to lore question of the week. So last time, I think, let's see, I have to open up the file again. Last episode, it was actually 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we asked, what did we ask? Of course, we asked which silicon-based life form attacked the Millennium Falcon in the asteroid belt during the Empire Strikes Back. And actually, the answer that I wanted to hear was Minoc. You know, the little flattery guys with the sucky mouths, and they latch onto the Millennium Falcon and suck the energy from the conduits. But we had like 3 or 4 replies who said that, who gave the answer that the Space Slug, who the Millennium Falcon technically lands into during his chase through the asteroid belt, is also attacking the Millennium Falcon. And I was researching, and I didn't find any contradicting evidence that the Space Slug is not based on silicon. So we can't rule out that it's based on silicon, since also the Minocs are based on silicon. And so I also will let that answer slide. So I think we had 11 contestants this week, and to to get to the winner, we also visit random.org again, random.org, and let it generate one number between 1 and 11. Generate. So we get the number 8, and who's number 8 this time? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the winner this time is Greg Evans. Congratulations, and to the others, sorry, try again next time. We will have this section for basically, I think, until we run out of packs to give away. So, Greg Evans, I will contact you and ask for your details, and of course, send you your. Is it the Rebel Saboteurs? I think.
No, I think it was the.
Yes. No. It is the for
champion.
No. It is the Rebel Saboteurs for episode 3, and this week you can win. The listeners.
I read too far along in the schedule.
Of course. This week, the listeners can win the Royal Guard champion, but only if they answer correct to the following question. And the question is, which airspeeder did Luke use to shoot warp rats during his teenage years on Tatooine? Should be quite easy, especially if you have access to the movies. If you don't have access to the movies, you should go to Amazon and get the digital movie collection, which includes all 6 movies as digital streaming or downloads. And just watch, I think it's one of the original series. Watch all of them and you should stumble upon the answer to this question quite easily. So, again, which airspeeder did Luke Skywalker use to shoot womp rats during his teenage years on Tatooine? Send the answers, of course, like always, to podcast@boardwars.eu. And, of course, to win, to have a chance to win a Royal Guard Champion win and pack. So, that's it for today. Of course, what I also wanted to mention, someone of the users sent in with his answer a nice lore tidbit about Minox, and the tidbit is that Minox are actually one of the major cooked dishes for Twi'leks. I didn't know this, but maybe this explains some of the tentacle stuff.
It didn't look that tasty, but I think if you have the right herbs and spices, they could be delicious.
You can make a stew out of them.
Yeah, but
at least.
If they're silicone based, maybe then they taste more sandy.
Yeah, maybe they taste more like sand or glass. Yeah. I don't know. So that's a funny tidbit. Keep sending those in. We really enjoy reading them, and of course we try to mention them during the show whenever we can.
Maybe someone has a recipe for Minox.
For Minox,
yeah?
Minox stew. Yeah, that would be good. So I think that's it for this episode. The episodes grow longer each time, I think. But with editing, I think we can stay at
5 hours or
little over 2 hours, I think. So,
yeah, but there was much to talk about. It's not every week we get a celebration.
We also took a basically a week-long break from recording. So we will go back to a bi-weekly schedule right now. So the next, before I forget, the next episode is scheduled for, the recording is scheduled for the 7th of May.
Yeah.
So you can send in your answers to the lore questions, of course, until the 6th of May. And of course, if we decide to postpone the next episode, all answers will be included until the day before we record. So, like I did this time. Okay, that's it for this episode. And any last words, Herrick?
Watch the Star Wars trailer again. Never stop.
Yeah, you should.
Never stop.
You should really do that.
Actually.
Never stop. Never stop watching the Star Wars trailer. Okay, that's it from us, and we wish you fun 2 weeks with the game. And bye bye, bis then.
Bye.